Howdy folks, and welcome to this exclusive battle report. What we've got here is the Imperial versus Aranthus Big Bash, or so I'm going to be calling it. This is going to be a gang against a gang, and we've got an alliance against an alliance, and we've got some Dramatis Personae as well. So an awful lot of rules to get through here. So I'm going to apologize in advance if I get anything wrong here. There are so many rules to keep track of. A lot of them new, a lot of them from the Spire of Primus book. So before we get into it, please do like, share, subscribe, check out the Patreon as well, and I will do lots more of these types of videos should you like them. So anyway, the scenario we're going to be choosing here today is a sort of alteration of the one that's actually end of the Spire of Primus book. So the new book with Ozzy Aranthus in it. We're going to be taking a mixture of different sort of factions here in this one, and for the Imperial forces we're basically just going to be having a huge battle royale. We've got two Dramatis Personae on each side, and the game is going to end in this deathmatch when both of the Dramatis Personae on either side are taken out of action. So without further ado, let's get into it and have a look at the actual gangs here. Now, the Imperial gang is of course led by Lady Haera in her Sthenian pattern Spire suit. Now I have converted this to be my Sthenian Spire Hunter, so ignore the bolt pistols. We're not going WYSIWYG with this one. The Power Spear and Phase Sword were actually damaged on my Forge World kit, so I couldn't actually use them anyway. But pretend she's got the sword and the spear. We've also got Yagaloth though, because Delac does play a big part in helping House Helmawr get back into position to retake the throne from Ozostium. With that, we've got the new Palanite Justicars. These guys are really interesting. I'm quite excited to use them. Their stats are pretty average, but they have a lot of cool gear, especially with the Man Catchers, the Gavels, and the Executioner's Axe there as well. We've also got a gang of Spires. So 4 Spires here, one of each. We've got an Horus at the back there with the twin Volkite dischargers as well as Power Fists upgraded. He also comes with a Caryatid and the Gunfighter skill. We have got a Yeld with paired laser gauntlets and the hip shooting skill as well. We've got a Malkadon with paired slashing claws, the web incisors, and the evade skill. And we've also got a Jakara with the regular sword and the shield there as well. Yeah, loads and loads of stuff to get through here. Lady Haera obviously being the highlight. She has got a spear, a sword with phase on it, and 2 of the Sthenian power claws, as well as her sort of flash weapons as well. Really, really cool. And we all know Yagaloth. We all know and love Yagaloth. This guy's awesome. He's got some Psychoterica. He can choose 5 Psychoteric powers, and I've done so. I'm not going to list them all, though. We'll just use them in the game. But anyway, that is the sort of summary overall of the Imperial forces. Let's go and take a look at Ozostium Aranthus' gang. So representing House Aranthus, we've got Ozostium himself, or Ozzy, to his mates. This guy's got an insane amount of special rules and gear. He's got a 4+ field armor save. He's got 4 attacks, a whopping 2-inch versatile sword that has Sever. Yeah, he's just got all the special rules, basically. His Caryatid also has an absolute ton of special rules as well. Really cool model as well, so I'm quite excited about using this. He's a Psyker. He's a Pyromancer, and he gets lots of pyromantic powers as well, so I'm sure I'll be using those too. We've also got the Prophet by his side as well. The Prophet's a really interesting character. He doesn't do much other than sort of run around, but he's got lots of buffs, and he's got Articles of Faith and things like that as well as his servo suit. He's very, very fast with his movement 8 as well. We've also got the Palanite Companions here, which is the first time fielding these guys. I absolutely love these models. They just look so cool. And they're the bodyguards to Ozzy here, actually. And they come with disintegrator weapons, which are Sever rapid-fire, horrific Dark Age of Technology weapons. And hopefully we get to see them used to good effect in this one as well against the Imperial House. Also, for the actual gang side of things, we've got a gang of Enforcers here as well, with a Haunt, a Captain, 2 Subjugator Sergeants, one with the sort of Chem Thrower that causes fear, and the other sergeant in the back there with a shield and a baton and bull charge. We've got some just loads and loads of stuff, basically. Too much stuff to talk about. So I thought we'd just have a big bash, try and keep things simple, try and keep things concise, and if I make mistakes, it's fine. This is just really to display some of the new stuff in the new book, which, by the way, thank you to Games Workshop for sending me the new book and the miniatures. They are fantastic, and this is the first time they're hitting the table, and this is an exclusive battle report just for you. So again, please like, share, subscribe, and let's get into the first part of the game here. The forces are deployed. Over on the right of the board here, we have the Prophet with a little honor guard of a Subjugator champion and a Palanite rookie. Up on top here, we have one of the Palanite Subjugators with a grenade launcher. Through the middle, of course, we have Ozzy himself with his Palanite companions on either side. Over next to him on the left, we have the Palanite Haunt and the Captain. And over up on the rafters here, we have the other Subjugator with the grenade launcher. Over on the far left as well, we have the last remaining rookie and the other Subjugator champion with the Chem Thrower. And for the Imperials, down the far bottom left here, we have the Yeld up on high, ready to race into the fray. The delegation of Justicars, led by the Jakara through the middle, gunning for the Prophet. Down through here, you can just see her Lady Haera with a Malkadon behind her. And over through here, we have the Horus and his little Caryatid buddy through the middle. However, before we roll for priority, we are going to place the one infiltrator in this game, and that is, of course, Yagaloth. The troll under the bridge, Yagaloth, infiltrates into the back field, just out of line of sight and range of the Palanites as we roll for priority in turn one of this huge, huge battle. With this large 3x3 board set up, we now roll for priority. The black dice for House Helmawr, the turquoise dice for House Aranthus. Make your predictions now. Who's going to be the winner in this battle, as we have priority going to the Imperial House in turn one. First up, the Palanite Justicar's Executioner using his group activation to send one of the bailiffs off into the fray. The bailiff takes a move action in around the corner here to get into position, heading towards the Prophet, as the Executioner, a little slower now, moves 8 inches up in behind. First move for the Palanites here, as the rookie and his Subjugator Sergeant take a move action in towards here as well. Both of them with the group activation here, moving in towards the center. The Horus now with his first activation and a double move in towards the right flank here under the bridge, followed by the Caryatid next to him. The Prophet now needs to be with his bodyguards here as he moves in right next to the Subjugator. Magistrate now does his group activation with the remaining 2 bailiffs, and they all double move in and around next to the rest of the delegation here. The Magistrate, being slower, does a double move of an 8 inches in behind cover next to this vat here. A group activation now from the Palanite Captain, who makes a double move into cover next to this door, followed by a double move with the Palanite Haunt, also into cover. Lady Haera herself now, moving a double move action in behind. Mr. Ozzy himself now, with his first activation of the turn, a move action, followed by the Caryatid, the creepy cyber Caryatid, into cover here, following the Haunt and the Palanite Captain. Yagaloth now, as he attempts to use Spatial Psychosis on the Palanite Rookie here, a 4+ needed on 2d6 with his willpower, and that will go off, triggering a pin for the Palonite rookie here. With the weird power coming off, Yagaloth then takes a move action into cover under here. In response to that, the Palonite rookie then stands in a group activation led by the sergeant here. The rookie stands and moves down to the bottom of the stairs, followed by the Palonite sergeant. Moving onto the stairs here, Palonite sergeant now unloads onto Yagaloth with his chem thrower, definitely getting him here. However, what he doesn't realize is Yagaloth is immune to any weapon that doesn't have a strength stat. So nothing happens here. Yagaloth is not pinned, but an ammo roll has to be made here, which is fine. And this is an interesting encounter already. Now for the Jakara's first activation, as she takes a loping run 12 inches with a double move in very close to all the action for next turn. The first real shot of the game now, as the Palonite Subjugator takes a shot down into the Orus from up on high. Now we do have some cover here. We're going to be shooting a frag grenade from the top here into cover, so -1 to hit here. This is going to be a 5 needed with the frag grenade, and that will miss, triggering a scatter from that spot. Scattering from the spot here, we have 4 inches in this way, and that will miss. In response to that, the Orus repositions onto the corner here, still in a little bit of cover as he takes shots with both of his Volkite into the Palonite captain here, who is in cover, so he's going to need a 4 to hit here with both of these weapons, and one of them will hit. Now the Palonite captain does go prone and pinned here, and he'll be wounded, strength 5 against toughness 3 on a 3 here. Now if this wounds, this causes another automatic hit with Deflagrate, so we cause an extra wound here on a 3, which we do. Both of these can now be saved. 2 saves to be made here, no negatives on this, and one of them will be saved. A wound will be taken on the Palonite captain, the first blood in the game so far. Time for the Palonite companions in their gold plate, as the first positions himself with a shot onto the Jakara Spire, using his incredibly scary Dark Age weapon here. Now there's no cover here, so we'll be hitting on 4s as it's long range. It's -1 to hit here. There's also rapid fire as well, and it just misses. Very, very lucky Spire here. It's flying time for the Yeld, as his first activation of the game is to fly onto the top here with all of his massive double move, and with the hip shooting skill, now shoot into the Palonite Subjugator, who's yet to go. Now this will be -1 to hit for cover, and also -1 to hit because of hip shooting here. So -2 on a 2+ ballistic skill goes to a 4 with his rapid fire laser weapons. That will miss. Unfortunately, it would have been 3 shots, but that is that. An aim and shoot action now back onto the Yeld with a stun grenade this time, needing a 3+ to hit, and that will hit, triggering concussion as well. Should the Spire be wounded, he may fall off here. So we're wounding on a 5 now, which will go through, pinning the Spire and potentially knocking them off the gantry here. Do they fail their armor save, though? That's the question. The armor save is passed, and the initiative check to fall off is failed. So the Spire will plummet from the edge here onto the ground below and take a strength 3 hit here. Let's see if this goes through as well, which it does. We also have an armor save to be made here as well, though, which fails. A wound taken on the Yeld Spire, falling to the floor there. It's Malkadon's time now, as his first action of the game is to use the tactics card, Stalk the Shadows. For the duration of this activation, he may perform the double Shadow Stalk action, removing him from the board and placing him anywhere on the battlefield at least 9 inches and out of line of sight of enemy models. So with that, he's going to reposition with his first activation over to the bottom of the lift here, out of line of sight of everybody, to get the drop on the sniper on the roof. Ozzy's second activation now is to reposition into the center of the board with a double move here to get into cover from the imminent Lady Haera and Orus Spire bearing down on them. followed, of course, by the Cyber Caryatid. The first charge of the game now comes from the Jakara Spire into the Palanite Rookie, needing more than a 2 here, and she will fail the charge, ending ever so slightly short. And this really is making things interesting for next turn, as all the action is going on in the center of the board here. The last action on the Aranthian side here, as the second Palanite companion moves around the corner and takes a shoot action cruelly into the Caryatid here, needing a -1 to hit normally and the small target as well. This is going to be a 5 to hit here. However, this will do it and trigger an ammo check as well. We'll do the ammo check first in this case, which is failed, I believe. We'll check that in a second. Does this creature make his invulnerable save here, though, is the question. Certainly does, and the Caryatid survives this one, however, going pinned here. So just going back to this quickly, this is an unstable and scarce weapon. We are out of ammo due to scarce. However, the fighter does not trigger unstable with the 4+ here. He's still in the game, however, minus the disintegration gun. Now for Lady Haera's second activation, she'll take a 5-inch move in towards the Palanites over here, taking a shot with her Medusian projectors onto the Haunt. Now this is -1 to hit, so we're going to be needing a 4+. Will hit there. However, we trigger the ammo symbol there. Let's see if she runs out of ammo on this. She does. However, with a failed initiative check on the Haunt now, she will be blinded, and that is a fail, pinned and blinded, and won't have an activation marker for next turn. Successful shot there. 2 more activations left for the Imperials as the Yeld stands and then flies around the corner here to get the drop in behind here in this pincer movement for next turn. And lastly, the Malkadon here, who triggers the elevator to move up to the top and use his paired web incisors into the back of the Subjugator here. Now this is a web weapon with rapid fire. It's only strength 3, but we're going to be hitting on a 3+ here. And that does do it with 3 shots into the back of the Subjugator now. Now all of these will be wounding on 4+ here, and 2 of them will go through. No save can be made because this is web, and the fighter is counted as seriously injured. That is the end of turn 1. No casualties so far except for the webbed fighter up here. The Malkadon repositioning with a tactics card. We have the Yeld fall and get wounded over here. And through the middle we have the Prophet with some Subjugators. The Jakara bearing down on them. We have one of the Palanite companions who is not out of ammo. Ozzy through the middle here. And over here we have the Palanite companion who's run out of ammo on his disintegration gun. A Haunt who doesn't have an activation marker due to blind, and a Captain who's been wounded. Over this side we have Yagaloth bearing down on 2 more Subjugators under here, with another Subjugator on the roof there. We also have the Oris moving into position with Lady Haera herself, as well as all of the action going on in the center here with all of this delegation as well. That is a really interesting first turn. Who knows what's going to happen in the next one? No bottle checks to be made here either. But let's roll for priority now as we see what happens in turn 2 of this game. In terms of a draw, the Aranthians will go first. I did that in the wrong order. Before we roll for priority, we have a seriously injured fighter here who needs to make a recovery here. He does get a flesh wound, so we actually do have a battle on our hands up here should he survive the Malkadon. However, we also have Ozzy's Displacer here as well, so we get to see what happens with this. It's a really interesting piece of kit here. On a 2, move Azostium up to 6 inches in any direction. Ozzy is going to reposition himself closer to the Jakara with an effort to get the drop in this turn. Naturally, of course, Ozzy goes first and takes a charge into the Jakara Spire as we have our first real nasty close combat in this game. This is going to be 5 attacks on the charge, all hitting on 2s here. I'm going to roll down here. All of these will hit. However, we're going to parry this 6 here with the Jakara Sword, which also hits. However, it does remove the power trait. So 4 of these will go through here, and these are all going to be wounding, I believe, on 3s. We'll just check that. But yeah, lots of attacks going through here from Ozzy, and this is the first time we really get to see him in action here. Wounding on 3s here on the Jakara. we have 3 of them going through. This is the Sever trait as well, so if these aren't saved, they're damage 2 and Sever. However, we do have the shield here, so we get -2 on the save, which goes to a 5-up save on 3 of these. Shall we do it? None of them will do it at all. Lots of wounds taken, and the Jakara is actually the first fighter out of action in this game, with a consolidation from Ozzy back into cover here. Very, very nasty. So Lady Haera's time to shine now, as she makes a charge action into the Palanite Captain here. Needing nothing but a 1 here to get in. She will certainly do it, triggering the Captain to stand and deliver. He's already wounded, and she's got a whopping amount of attacks here. She's got 6 attacks base, in fact 4 attacks base plus 1 for charging plus 1 for the offhand weapon. So this is just going to be for her regular attacks here. The black is going to be for the sword, and the turquoise is going to be for the spear. All of these are hitting on 2s now, and we do have parry and power and all sorts of other nonsense in here. The parry is going to be made on this one, which does miss. However, everything else will go through, triggering power, I believe, on all 3 of these on the spear, as well as 2 hits with the sword now. So first for the spear now, no save can be made on these, and its damage is increased by 1. So let's see if we wound here. All 2 of them, in fact, will go through here. 1 of them won't, and these will be 2 wounds each. No save can be made, and that's before we even get into the phase sword and the Sthenian claws. The Captain is well and truly out of action here. Of course, we do have a cool check to be made on the Haunt here as well. The Haunt does actually pass her cool check, however, she still has no activation marker this turn. Things are looking bad for the Haunt. A group activation here now as the Palanite Sergeant moves down under the stairs and takes a close-range stub gun shot into Yagaloth, who is in cover, but is +2 to hit a short range here. So we're going to be needing a 4 goes to 2. Now back down to 3 with the cover there, and we will hit with a stub gun, pinning Yagaloth, who is wounded on a 4+ here as well. He's not wounded, however, Yagaloth is pinned and less problematic at this point. The next action is a charge from the rookie here, who's got movement 6, so he doesn't need much to get there. We've got a 7-inch charge, and Yagaloth is back standing and in combat with a Palanite rookie. This is one brave rookie, 2 attacks with a shock baton and 1 with his stub gun here, all hitting on 5s, and we do get to parry this one here with the shock baton, which also hits, by the way. So wounding on a 4 now. We do wound Yagaloth, however, he does get his save with mesh armor here, and that is not saved. That means Yagaloth will take a wound now. Yagaloth fights back now with his 2 attacks, hitting on a 3+. One of them will actually miss, and we do have the parry skill on this shock baton as well. However, it does go through, and this will be wounding on a 3+ here. That will go through, and no save can be made, and we're straight to injury with the toxin here. The injury with the phase sword is a serious injury, and the Palanite rookie, very brave, taking a wound off Yagaloth, is now face down in the dirt with Yagaloth breathing down his neck. Yagaloth ignores his target now and charges into the Palanite Subjugator Sergeant. And with 3 attacks now, 1 of these will miss. And 2 of these will be going through and wounding on 3s here. Only 1 of these will go through. No save to be made with the phase trait, meaning a straight to injury roll on a multiple wound fighter here. As we see what happens, a flesh wound is caused and the Sergeant gets to fight back here. Reaction attacks from the Sergeant here, all of these hitting on 3s. We've got a stub gun, and we've got 2 open-handed attacks. The stub gun will hit, and this one will be parried by Yagaloth into another hit now. So we've got 2 hits here, wounding on 4s now with a strength 3 fighter. Can either of these go through? Of course they both do, and should one of these not be saved, then Yagaloth is in deep trouble. We've got 2 mesh armor saves now. One of them is made, and the other one is straight to injury on this 2 wound fighter. Now for the injury, and it is a serious injury. However, because of Yagaloth's special rule, he gets to be removed from play and placed back onto the board like an infiltrator when becoming seriously injured. So let's go and have a look at that rule and bring him back onto the board now. Very, very cool stuff. An aim and a shoot action down into the Oris, this time again with a frag round. We're going to be triggering this on a 3+ this time due to the lack of cover, However, there is an ammo check to be made here. Should we run out of ammo? The ammo is good, and the hit is also good, getting both of these fighters in the 3-inch blast. Now we'll be wounding the Oris on a 5 here, which does go through. This is amazing. Should he make this save though? He will not, and he will be pinned and wounded. And now for the Caryatid. This is a big, big shot here. The Caryatid is not wounded and avoids getting hurt by the blast here. Big stuff. In response to that, the Oris will then get up and take a move action over to the corner here, followed by his loyal Caryatid servant. The flesh-wounded subjugator then stands and takes a close-range shot into the Malkadon, who has the evade skill, and it's also -1 to hit here for the grenade launcher. So we will miss and trigger an out of ammo here as well. Now, will this be out of ammo for the now? It certainly is. The grenade launcher is gone, and he is in deep, deep trouble. Time for the bailiffs to enter the game. As the first bailiff moves around the corner, he uses one of his flash grenades to point right on top of the Palonite rookie here. Now, he's going to be hitting on a 5 because he's got terrible ballistic skill, and that will miss. However, this is a large template, and it could scatter into a nice position for the Imperials. So with the scatter now, we go a 2 inches this way, and that will be enough to get Ozzy and the Palonite rookie here in the blast. So both of these fighters will be pinned, and let's do initiative checks for both of them as well. The Palonite rookie passes his initiative check, and Ozzy Aranthus also passes his initiative check. However, both of these fighters will be pinned. Is the bailiff out of ammo on his photon flash grenade? He is not. Still good. And both of these fighters will be pinned now, which is annoying for Ozzy because he doesn't seem to have a rule to negate pinning, unlike a Spire. In response to his master going down pins here, the Palonite companion takes a move and takes a shot with his disintegration gun into this first bailiff here, and this will be wounding on a 3 as well. This will go through. No save can be made here due to the amount of AP on it, and with Sever, this is going to be an out-of-action fighter. Really, really nasty weapon, this. The Yeld takes a shot into the back of the Prophet now, needing a willpower check to actually do this, and he will pass, meaning that we have a 2+ to hit now, with 2 shots hitting into the back of the Prophet. These will both be wounding on 4s, in fact 5s. One will go through due to the Prophet's suspensor harness. He will go pinned, and he does have his invulnerable save here, which he fails. So he will be taking a wound and becoming pinned and prone here. Really nice shot from the Yeld, who then takes a fly all the way to the top of here with his next activation yet to come. Ozzy Aranthus now is going to stand and actually move back away from the action a little bit as he's feeling a little bit claustrophobic up in here. Time for the Malkadon to charge now into the wounded subjugator. He gets a pair of 6 attacks with the slashing claws here, and all of these are going to be really nasty should they go through. 2 will miss though, and these will all be wounding on 3s due to the flesh wounded fighter here, and all 3 of them will go through at -2 AP. That is straight to injury, and we're going to have 3 injury dice on the Palonite subjugator here. 3 injuries onto the subjugator here, and he is absolutely out of action in this one as the Malkadon then takes a consolidation into cover further up the gantry. Second Palonite companion takes a move around into the corner here and uses his stub gun to shoot into Lady Haera Helmawr. Needing a 3+, he does do it. He'll also be wounding here as well, and that will not do it. She will not go prone, and that is the end of that. Time for the sneaky Malkadon to move onto the corner here and shoot his paired webbed incisors, not into Ozzy, but into that annoying Caryatid. Now we'll be hitting on a 3 here, and that will do it with rapid fire of 3. Now these are going to be wounding on 3s here as well, and only 2 of these go through, pinning the Caryatid, and this is counting as seriously injured there as well. Nice work, Malkadon. Funnily enough, Ozzy actually has a cool check to be made here, needing a 5+. He passes. He's not that bothered about the Caryatid at this point. The pinned rookie stands and moves into position in front of the Palanite companion there in this bottleneck. Bailiff attempting a charge here, needing 2 or more inches. He does not make it and stops short of the Palanite rookie here, around here in this bottleneck. In response to that, the Subjugator Sergeant now makes a charge action. He gets the extra 3 inches he needs to go round the corner into the Bailiff for another bit of close combat action. Bit of close combat here. We have the Subjugator Sergeant charging, gaining 2 attacks base, +1 for charging, and plus another for the shield there as well. We have 4 attacks. 2 with the shield, 2 with the shock baton here, and these will all be hitting on 3s. So one of these does not hit there, and then we have a parry on the 6 here as well. In fact, we don't have a parry because it is a club, not a shock baton on the Bailiff. However, these 3 will hit, triggering knockback as well on the shield. No power, however, is triggered on the shock baton. These are all going to be wounding on 3s now because we have +1 strength for the bull charge. So 2 of these will go through, 1 of each, and we'll see about saves now. Flak armor and an armored undersuit here. No AP. We've got 2 5-up saves to be made here, and neither of them are made. This is going to be straight to injury on the Bailiff, and he is taken out of action with a serious injury, with a consolidation further up into this bottleneck here. A charge now from Lady Haera into the Palanite companion over here, and this is going to be a whole lot of attacks with 2 close combat weapons and the Sthenian claws here. Will we even get to use the claws this time? Let's have a look. Now for the 6 normal attacks here, before we even get into the claws, all of these are hitting on 2s. The black will be the sword in this case, and the power sword will miss twice. However, we do have 4 hits. Otherwise, no parry or anything, and no power coming off here as well. The black will be wounding on 3s here, and the turquoise will be wounding on 4s. So we have 2 wounds from either weapon before we even get into having a look at saves here. So phase on the sword means no save can be made here for the poor little companion. However, he does get a 6-up save on the spear, and that will fail as well. With 3 damage going through, this fighter takes 2 wounds, and these are going to be a skull and a flesh wound, and that is a Palanite companion out of the game, with Lady Haera bearing down upon the golden Ozzy around the corner. Is he going to be around the corner, though? Next turn, let's have a look. With no weapons and wounded, the Prophet will stand and then make a move action in towards to block off Lady Haera as she makes her way to Ozzy himself. It's Horus time, as all the remaining activations are here for the Imperial side, as he moves in and takes 2 close range shots into the prone haunt now, needing 3s to hit here, and one of them will miss and trigger an ammo check. However, let's check the ammo here. It is absolutely not fine. We will, however, re-roll it using the Caryatid, and it's also out of ammo. However, we do get a hit from the other one, and this will be wounding on 3s. It does not wound, and that is a huge, huge fail from the Horus there. And the Caryatid moves in towards his buddy. It's Executioner time now, as all he needs is a versatile range charge. No dice need to be really rolled here. He's got 2 inches versatile on the Executioner's axe. Only 2 attacks, and these will be hitting on 3s. One of them will go through, and this is Strength 5, AP -3, and Sever. This is going to be really nasty if it wounds. It does wound. Now that is enough to get through the armor of the Subjugator there, because it's -3, which is really, really nasty. Then we have I think maybe a 6-up actually, so maybe we should check this. Hold on a second. Beg my pardon, we do actually have a 6-up save to be made here, and it is not made. This is going to be going through at 2 damage, and I believe Sever as well. At 2 damage, this will take off one of the Subjugator Sergeant's wounds, and the other will trigger the Sever trait, and that is another Sergeant out of action in this game. Now time for the Man-Catcher, as it gets a charge off with a whopping 3-inch charge. Added to the versatile range here, he is charging in front of the Executioner and poking with the Man-Catcher here. Now this will be 2 attacks, and both of these will hit, triggering shock here, auto-wounding, and going through there. The other one will be wounding on a 3, and that will also go through on this poor little rookie here. Now, shock will go through, and there will be an armor save on the other one as well, which is passed, and the armor save on shock is not passed. So that will be straight through to injury. However, before we do that, we have an initiative check to be made on incapacitate, which is actually passed here. And this is an injury dice on the rookie here, who takes a flesh wound. Doesn't get to fight back though, because he is in versatile range and not close combat. Now the magistrate doesn't want to shoot his own guys in the back, so he's going to take a move action in between his own 2 guys, ready to get into it next turn. The last activation of this second turn is to fly down on a move action with the Yelled, and using hip shooting try to trigger Ozzy Aranthus. Now we do need to pass a successful willpower check to hit him here, and that is a 6, which is good. It means that he is not out of ammo on the laser gauntlets. Now we're going to be shooting at close range with hip shooting though at -1. We're going to be hitting on a 3 here. In fact, sorry, there is a +1 to hit at close range on the Yelled laser gauntlets, so one of them will go through. Ozzy is now pinned and unable to help his Caryatid in the recovery phase. Is he wounded though, is the question. We are needing 5s here, and he certainly is. Can he save it with his 4+ field armor save? He certainly can. He is just inconvenienced by the pinning there. Now, before we get into a roundup of this turn, we have recovery to be made on the Caryatid here, who rolls a serious injury, staying the same. We've also got the Palanite rookie, who was injured by Yagaloth as well, who also stays the same and gets a flesh wound for their troubles. So around the table, we've had an awful lot of action in only 2 turns of the game. Ozzy is pinned at the end of this with a Malkadon and a Spire, both bearing down on him. Through the middle, we have a bottleneck, the Prophet facing off against a very scary Lady Haera. We have the Bailiffs against some Enforcers and the Palanite Companions. We also have, in this quarter, the Horus, who hasn't done too well. He's been wounded already as well. The Haunt, about to get back into the game. And the Subjugator Sergeant there with another Palanite Subjugator on the roof there. In terms of score so far, we have got, for the Imperials, they have taken the injury and out of action of 2 Bailiffs and 1 Jakara early on in the game, and this is the status for the Aranthian side. We have the Captain, 1 of the Companions, and 2 of the Enforcers taken out, one of those being a Sergeant. So certainly in favour of the Imperials so far, but as we get into the end of this turn, we have 2 things to do. The first one is Ozzy Aranthus's Archaic Displacer. Now we roll a d6 here, and we rolling a 3, we get to move him, I think, 12 inches away. Now he gets to move 12 inches in any direction as long as he's not too close to stuff. So he's actually going to go all the way over here, nearer to behind where the action is with Lady Haera, and try and get the jump against Lady Haera with priority this turn. However, we've got another factor coming into play here, and that is that of Yagaloth. Now this guy was seriously injured, but because he's really, really cool, he gets to come back into the game and infiltrate back onto the board and ignore the serious injury from earlier. Now he's going to be 5 inches away from a friendly fighter and up to 1 inch away from an enemy. Alright, so we're placing Yagaloth under the bridge again, like the little troll that he is, and he's close enough to Lady Haera to be a friendly fighter there. Now, we're going to roll for priority, of course, and this is going to be a big roll as we head into turn 3 in this game. The favour this time goes in the Imperial House as they get the first activation of turn 3. Alright, kicking things off, we have Lady Haera making a charge into the Prophet for some first character-on-character action here. This is going to be interesting. Could the Prophet actually survive here? But before we even do this, we've got to make a willpower check for Lady Haera. Of course, she does pass it. The Prophet is basically terrifying. Should she fail that, she wouldn't be able to actually charge him. Now, we're going to do things in a different order this time. I'm going to use the Sthenian Claws first in the order of things. So 2 attacks with the Sthenian Claws here. Both of these will be hitting on 2s. And with Strength 4, they're going to be wounding on 5s here. So one of them will go through. No power on this one, so a 3+ invulnerable save to be made here. And that is failed. This is going to be 2 damage with Pulverize. This is remarkable. The Prophet not too good in this matchup so far. So he takes 1 injury and the other is an injury dice here before we even get into the other attacks. And of course, it is a skull. And the Prophet is the first major casualty of this game, going out of action and not really doing much so far in it. Of course, I did forget to do his Articles of Faith. He does generate 4 dice in the end phase, and I did forget to do that, unfortunately. But I don't think it would have made too much of a difference in this matchup so far. Over to the Aranthian side here, the Haunt, who hasn't really been in the game yet, stands and uses a weird power on Lady Haera, who is just in range of the awful hallucinations. Now we need a 5+ here to pull it off, and of course we do it, sending Lady Haera insane. This could be very, very interesting. The Yeld now flies over to the top of the stairs here and aims up at the Subjugator in the crow's nest at the top there. Now this will be hard cover, so we're going to need a 4 to hit here. That will hit and trigger an ammo check, which does fail. However, this is plentiful. We can reload next turn. We're winning on a 4 here, which does not do it. However, the Subjugator will go prone, and that is annoying for a sniper. Not knowing that the Lady Haera is right behind him, the Palanite companion shimmies over to the right here and takes a shot into the Magistrate here. At close range, needing a 3 now, and this will be a hit. However, triggering the ammo check here, we do not run out of ammo, and the Unstable does not come up here either. This is going to be wounding on 3s now. It does not wound, however, and Nerves of Steel kicks in here on the Magistrate. Should he pass, he will remain standing, and he does. No pin there at all. Things are looking bad for the Companion. Some group action now with the Magistrate, a Bailiff, and the Executioner all going at once in a group activation. Starting with the Bailiff, he's going to prod the Palanite rookie here, hitting with a 5 there, not triggering shock, wounding there as well. Do we incapacitate? We do. So that means that the rookie is incapacitated should they fail their armor save. The armor save, however, is failed. So this is going to be straight to injury here. And that will be a flesh wound again. 2 flesh wounds here and still a versatile range, but still very much in the game with only 1 toughness. Second activation is from the Magistrate here as he aims his pistol, the bolt pistol, into the Palanite Companion. No risk of hitting anyone here. We're going to need a 2 to hit here. The ammo check comes up though with a 6 up on the ammo. It's passed. Brilliant stuff. We're winning on a 3 here as well, and that will not wound, triggering a pin on the Palanite Companion, who, by the way, earlier did actually run out of ammo on his scarce disintegration gun. Lastly, the Executioner is making another charge in now. Going to be hitting the Palanite rookie, who is incapacitated and only on toughness 1. Should we hit here on 3s, both of them will hit, and these will be wounding on 2s this time due to the amount of flesh wounds. One of them goes through. There is no save to be made here, and Sever is triggered, and that is an out-of-action Palanite rookie. Palanite Subjugator now stands and pings a frag grenade down into the Yeld here. We're going to be hitting on 4s here, and that will do it with a frag grenade, triggering knockback as well, should this fighter become pinned and prone as well. We've got a wound of 4 there. We'll go through, and then we have the armor save for the Yeld here, which is actually failed. We're on the last wound here, by the way. So a pinned Yeld that could fall off the edge as well. However, we've got an injury roll to be made here, and that is a skull, and the Yeld is taken out of action quite easily in this game, and that is the second Spire out of the game with a frag grenade. A double action from the Malkadon as he uses his grapnel launcher to get all the way down here and try and flank Ozzy, who is on the ground. Ozzy responds by rising from the ground and using his Divine Scorch. Psychic power here, needing a 5+ on the willpower. He will just pass. This is a flame template which targets the Malkadon. It's only strength 2, but it does have blaze, which is pretty nasty. Does it wound though? It certainly doesn't. But does it send the Malkadon on fire? It won't, and it won't even pin either because Spire. The Oris makes a charge here into the Haunt. However, again, first we've got to make that fearsome check which actually fails. So he fails to charge the Haunt here, which is absolutely huge, and that's a double action wasted. However, he does still have another activation marker after this, should he pass that time. Ozzy's now going to attempt to make a long-range charge here. He only gets 1 inch, though, so he's got 6 inches, 7 inches, plus 2 is not quite in range with his versatile weapon there. He is just out. However, he will get to strike the Caryatid there. This is going to be absolutely horrific for the Caryatid. 4 attacks going in here. 1 of them will miss. The rest, however, will go through and be wounding the Caryatid on 2s. Of course, only 1 of them actually goes through, and we have the precognition save, which fails there. Unfortunately, that will be an dead Caryatid there. Very nasty. A cool check to be made for the silly Oris here, who passes naturally, and now we have a face-off between 2 very big, angry-looking dudes. If you're against cruelty to small flying babies, then look away now. The Malkadon then charges down and slashes the throat of the Cyber Caryatid, and the Cyber Caryatid, who is really fiddly, is out of the game, and that's a pretty nasty thing for a Malkadon to do. However, it is a Malkadon, and that's what they're known for. Group activation now over here as the Palanite rookie goes into some more cover, still seriously injured. The Enforcer Subjugator Sergeant, however, moves up to the window and shoots his template weapon through the window at the cheeky Malkadon. Now, this is a gas fear weapon, so this is going to be quite interesting. Of course, we have to hit automatically here because it's a template weapon, and there is no save to be made on this one either. We've got to roll the ammo dice, though, just to see if it comes up. Do we pass the ammo on it? I believe we do. Now, we've got a cool check to be made for the Malkadon at -2, and that will actually fail, meaning that the Malkadon is now broken. Broken, the Malkadon then runs a whopping 11 inches back the way he came, under the stairs here, and safe from any danger. Alright, here is a chance for this hapless Oris as he charges into Ozzy himself. A titanic clash here with a whopping 6 attacks, hitting on 3s. Let's see what happens here. We've got 2 misses, though, so far. Ozzy is, of course, going to parry one of these power hits as well, which also misses. We've also got only 1 hit, in fact, because he's actually hitting on 3s. This is huge. Now, will this wound Ozzy is the question. It won't with a 1, and that is that. This Oris has been terrible in this game so far. Ozzy gets to hit back now. Wow, now with 4 attacks here, hitting on 2s, only 1 of them will not go through onto this poor Oris here. These are strength 5, so they will be wounding on 3s as well. So only 1 of them goes through here with 2 wounds left. This is -2 on the AP, so a field armor save for the Oris is made here, and it passes, and the Oris is still safe for now. Now this is a big moment here. We have the insane Lady Haera rolling to see what she does, and a 2 is rolled, meaning that she will attack based on the Aranthian side. So she is now activated by the Aranthian side, so of course, naturally, she is going to be charging into the Malkadon, who is running for his life here, thinking that he was safe. Now, do we get the charge off here with 2 inches? I think we do. So that is a 7-inch charge in there, and a soon-to-be very, very dead Malkadon. This is really nasty. Now, these are all going to be hitting on 2s here. We have only 1 of them not hitting here. The black is the phase sword, and the other is the spear. Now, these are all going to be wounding on 3s, and these are going to be wounding on 4s now. So we'll do 4s on the spears. Only 1 of them goes through. And, of course, we'll do the power one here as well, which does wound. And we've got another one here, which also wounds. So 2 damage on this one, 3 damage on this one, and no save. And, of course, 1 damage on that one as well is all sorts of damage. So we'll do the spear first. It is a flesh wound. We're then doing the other one. The other sword, which is a serious injury and a flesh wound. And then we have, I think, 3 damage, did we say, on the power sword here as well. And unfortunately, no saves can be made on phase. Basically, a whole bunch of dice rolled there and no idea what I'm really doing. But pretty sure the Malkador goes out of action here. And unfortunately, Lady Haera still insane for the moment. Well, that was a huge turn 3. Lady Haera insane. We get to roll to see if she, you know, attacks her own guys next turn. We had loads of action over through here. The Palanoite companion running out of ammo on his disintegration gun and soon to be dead by way of the Justicars. Over here we have the Horus still in close combat with Ozzy himself and a Haunt back in the mix of things. However, Yagaloth chose to not do anything that turn. I don't know what he's up to. He's sneaking around somehow. We have a Subjugator up on the roof here, and we also have the Subjugator Sergeant behind here with a rookie that now needs to make a check on the injury status here. But let's have a look at the damages so far. On the Aranthian side, the Prophet has gone, as well as a bunch of other dudes as well. 2 Spire, 3 Spire is out now, and 2 of the Bailiffs as well. So it's pretty evens, I think. The favour is still in the Imperial side so far. A flying baby getting kicked to death by a Malkadon was pretty funny there as well. Before we do anything else, though, in the end phase, we are going to see what happens with the Displacer on Ozzy Aranthus. Now, it's burned out on a 6. However, he gets to move anywhere he wants on the board at this point. So we're going to have a think about where he wants to go. At the same time, we need to roll an injury dice for the Palanoite rookie on the ground, who does actually recover. She's back in the game, so we'll see what happens to her too. Having a think about it, Ozzy doesn't really want to be in close combat with an Horus at the moment, so instead, he's going to move all the way over to here with an effort to get to grips with Lady Haera in this climactic battle here while she's still insane. This is the huge moment now then. Who gets to go first in this one? And the Aranthians will get priority in this turn 4. And I think we know what's going to happen first. Ozzy makes his charge at Lady Haera. We have the clash that we were here for all along. Lady Haera representing the Imperial House and House Aranthus in this titanic clash in turn 4. We have 5 attacks on the charge from this big guy, all hitting on 2s here. However, we will parry one of these with the sword here. It still hits, however, and these will be going through. No power or anything. However, we'll be wounding Lady Haera on 3s here with all of these. Now, that one is cocked, so I will re-roll that into a 2. So only 3 of these will go through. Now, she does have 3 wounds, and she does have a field armor save of a 5+ as well. It's -2 on the regular armor save, so 3 field armor saves to be made here, otherwise 6 damage. So, can she make these? We've got 1 of them saved, which means 4 damage. So, 3 wounds are taken, and this goes straight to 1 injury dice here. Can we do it? We get the serious injury, and unfortunately, the Imperial House, Lady Helmawr, is taken out of the game by big Ozzy Aranthus, following up with a consolidation move. Huge. There is still hope left, though, as we still have Yagaloth almost in range of a charge here if he can roll high. Let's see if he can do it. He certainly can with a 6 there, actually. So now he is going to be moving in and charging Ozzy Aranthus. Hasn't got much chance, I don't think, but it's better than nothing. Let's see what happens between these two. Now we've got 3 attacks here from the charge from Yagaloth, hitting on 3s. One of these will be parried by Ozzy Aranthus into a 1. So we've only got 1 attack going through now. We're going to be wounding on, I believe, 4s here with Toxin. That will go through, and this is phase. So this negates any sort of field save, and this is going to be straight to injury now on Azostium Aranthus. That is absolutely huge, and the phase sword takes out Ozzy Aranthus no matter how many wounds he has. This is a Toxin weapon. He is out of action and coup de grace by Yagaloth, an absolute Delac badman. Well, there you go. I think that secures the win for the Imperials here. A really, really fun game. Lady Haera getting taken out, and then the next minute, Yagaloth with the phase Toxin sword taking out big Ozzy himself. An interesting game, I have to say. I really enjoyed that. A little too many rules, though. So many rules to keep track of in this one. But overall, really fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back with another video real soon. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Is Ozzy OP? I don't think so, especially when Yagaloth is around. Anyway, I'll be back with another one real soon. Peace out.